I woke up on my 28th birthday expecting nothing. And that's exactly what I got. No text. No call. Not even one of those generic happy birthday messages you send when you remember someone exists but don't really care. Just silence. I checked my phone 17 times that morning. 17. Like some pathetic kid waiting for Santa Claus. I told myself I didn't care. I told myself I'd grown past needing their validation. But deep down there was still this tiny stubborn part of me that thought, maybe this year will be different. Maybe today they'll actually show up. They didn't. I went to work. I smiled when my coworkers surprised me with a cupcake. I thanked my friends for the birthday group chat messages. I posted a photo on social media like everything was fine. And all day long I kept that phone within arm's reach waiting. By 8 p.m. I finally admitted it to myself. They'd forgotten. Again. No, that's not quite right. Forgetting would mean they'd thought about me at all. This was something else. This was erasure. I went to bed that night feeling hollow. Not angry. Not even hurt anymore. Just empty. Like I'd finally run out of hope to lose. What I didn't know was that the silence wasn't the worst part. The worst part was coming. To understand what happened next, you need to understand who my parents are. They're not monsters. That would be easier to explain. Monsters you can point to and say, look, they're evil. No, my parents are something more complicated. They're disappearing acts. They're grand promises followed by crushing silence. There will be there followed by empty chairs. My 8th birthday. They promised me a party at the arcade. I invited 12 kids from school. My mom called 30 minutes before and said they couldn't make it. No explanation. I sat in my room while my grandmother awkwardly handed out pizza to confused second graders in our living room. My high school graduation. My dad said he wouldn't miss it for the world. I looked for him in the crowd during the ceremony. His seat was empty. He called 3 days later saying he'd lost track of time working on a project. My college acceptance. I got into my dream school with a partial scholarship. I called them crying with joy. My mother's response? That's nice, honey. Listen, can we talk about this later? We're busy right now. They never called back. For years I made excuses for them. They're busy. They're stressed. They're dealing with their own stuff. I twisted myself into knots trying to understand, trying to be the understanding child, trying not to need too much. I went to therapy. My therapist helped me realize something painful. I'd been auditioning for the role of their child my entire life, and they kept telling me I wasn't quite good enough for the part. So I started pulling back. I stopped calling every week. I stopped sharing my achievements. I stopped expecting anything. And honestly, it hurt less. The disappointment you expect doesn't cut as deep. But here's the thing about low expectations. They can still be shattered. For days after my birthday, my phone rang. Mom, calling at 10 a.m. on a Tuesday. My stomach dropped. In my family, unexpected calls only mean emergencies. Someone died. Someone's in the hospital. Something catastrophic. I answered on the second ring. Hello? Mom? Is everything okay? Oh, sweetheart. Yes, everything's fine. Her voice was bright, cheerful, almost aggressively pleasant. How are you? We've been thinking about you. I stood in my kitchen, phone pressed to my ear, completely confused. We've been thinking about you? For days after completely ignoring my birthday? I'm fine, I said slowly. Is something wrong? Wrong? No. We just wanted to hear your voice. We miss you. Miss me? They'd seen me exactly twice in the past year. Once at Easter when I drove 3 hours to their house, and once in July when they needed me to help them move furniture. Oh, I said. Okay. Your father and I were just saying how we don't see you enough. You should come visit. Maybe this weekend. Red flags. Red flags everywhere. But I ignored them because some desperate part of me was still 8 years old, still wanting my mommy to actually want me around. Maybe, I said. I'll check my schedule. Perfect. Actually, honey, your father wants to say hi. Hold on. There was a rustling sound, muffled voices, and then my dad's voice boomed through the speaker. Hey kiddo. How's my successful daughter doing? Successful daughter? He'd never called me that in my life. I'm good, Dad. Working a lot. That's my girl. Always grinding. Listen, your mom and I are so proud of you. You know that, right? I felt my throat tighten. I hated myself for it, but hearing those words made something crack open in my chest. Thanks, Dad. We should get together soon. Really sit down and catch up. It's been too long. Yeah, I whispered. It has. We talked for another 10 minutes. Surface level stuff. My job. Their garden. The weather. It was the longest conversation we'd had in months, and it felt wrong. Like someone doing an impression of a loving family. When we hung up, I stood there staring at my phone, trying to figure out what just happened. I should have trusted my instincts. They called again 2 days later. Both of them on speakerphone. Honey, we need to talk to you about something, Mom said. The cheerfulness from before was gone. Now her voice had that tight, serious quality that made my shoulders tense. Okay, I said carefully. We're in a bit of a situation, Dad jumped in. Nothing we can't handle, but we need some help. Here it comes, I thought. The real reason for the sudden warmth. What kind of situation? Financial, Mom said quickly. We had some unexpected expenses come up, and we're just a little short this month. We need to borrow some money. Borrow. That word hung in the air like a bad smell. How much? I asked. There was a pause. A long one. $2,500, Dad said. I actually laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was so absurd that laughter was the only response my brain could produce. You're serious? We wouldn't ask if it wasn't important, Mom said, and now there was an edge to her voice. An edge I recognized. Irritation at being questioned. I don't have $2,500 just lying around, I said. That's more than my rent. We know it's a lot, Dad said. But you have a good job. You've always been good with money. We just need it for a few weeks until Dad's commission check comes through. My mind was racing. I'd heard this song before. Different lyrics, same melody. When I was 22, they'd needed $800 for car repairs. Never paid it back. When I was 25, they'd needed $500 for some emergency I never quite understood. Never saw that money again either. What's the emergency? I asked. Another pause. Does it matter? Mom snapped. We're your parents. We raised you, fed you, put a roof over your head for 18 years. And now we're asking for help, and you're interrogating us. There it was. The guilt trip. The classic maneuver. I'm not interrogating anyone, I said, keeping my voice level. I'm asking a reasonable question about a large amount of money. The water heater broke, Dad said. And the credit cards are maxed out. We need to replace it or we won't have hot water. A water heater. Okay, that was at least specific. But something still felt off. Why don't you get a loan from the bank? I asked. Our credit isn't great right now, Mom admitted. And we need it fixed by next week. Please, honey. We wouldn't ask if we had any other option. I closed my eyes, thought about my savings account. The money I'd been carefully putting away for the past 3 years. Money for emergencies. Money for my future. Money that represented security in a life that had always felt unstable. I need to think about it, I said. The temperature in the conversation dropped 20 degrees. Think about it? Mom's voice was ice. We're your parents and we need help, and you need to think about it? Yes, I said firmly. This is a huge amount of money and I need to consider it. Unbelievable, Dad muttered. Absolutely unbelievable. I'll call you tomorrow, I said. Don't bother, Mom spat. If you can't help your own parents without thinking about it, then maybe we raised you wrong. The line went dead. I sat there, phone in hand, shaking. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, running through every possible scenario. Part of me felt guilty. They're your parents. They need help. What kind of person says no to their parents? But another part of me, the part that had been through this 100 times, whispered, they forgot your birthday. They disappeared for 4 days. Then suddenly they need money and you're the best daughter in the world? By morning I'd made my decision. I called my dad at 8 a.m. He answered on the first ring. I can't give you the money, I said. No preamble. No apology. Silence. Then, can't or won't? Both, I said. I don't have $2,500 to spare, and even if I did, I wouldn't be comfortable lending that amount without more information about how it would be paid back. Paid back. Dad's voice was rising. You want us to sign a contract? We're your parents. I know who you are, I said quietly. Clearly you don't, he shouted. Because if you did, you'd understand what we sacrificed for you. The money we spent raising you, the opportunities we gave up, the years of our lives dedicated to making sure you had everything you needed. Something inside me snapped. Everything I needed? I heard my voice break. You forgot my birthday, Dad. 4 days ago. You forgot I existed until you needed something from me. Oh, here we go. Mom's voice in the background. She grabbed the phone. You're still hung up on that? We've been busy, we had things going on, and you're going to hold that against us? You're 28 years old. You're too old for birthday parties. I'm not asking for a party, I said, tears streaming down my face now. I'm asking for the bare minimum of acknowledgement. And you couldn't even give me that. But now you want $2,500. You're being a selfish brat. Mom screamed. After everything we've done for you, we could have aborted you, you know that? We chose to have you, to keep you, to raise you, and this is how you repay us. I felt like I'd been slapped. I didn't ask to be born, I whispered. Well, you were. And now you owe us. That's how family works. No, I said, finding my voice again. That's not how family works. Family doesn't use guilt as currency. Family doesn't keep score. And family definitely doesn't call after days of silence just because they need money. We are done with you, Dad's voice again. He'd taken the phone back. Do you hear me? Done. Don't call us. Don't visit. You're not our daughter anymore. Fine, I said. And I hung up. I sat on my kitchen floor and sobbed for an hour. I thought it was over. God, I was naive. The text messages started that afternoon.
You're going to regret this.
We gave you everything, and this is what we get.
Your grandmother is going to be so disappointed in you.
Everyone will know what kind of person you really are.
I blocked them both. Then they started calling from different numbers. Work phones. Friends' phones. Numbers I didn't recognize. I'd answer thinking it was a legitimate call, and it would be one of them launching into another tirade about my selfishness, my cruelty, my betrayal. I blocked those numbers too. Then came the emails. Long rambling messages about what terrible parents they were to raise such an ungrateful child. About how I'd always been difficult, always been cold, always been more concerned with myself than with family. They sent these emails to me. And then they sent them to my aunt, my uncle, my cousins. My phone started ringing with calls from extended family members. Is this true? Did you really refuse to help your parents? They raised you. How can you turn your back on them? Family helps family. This is how we do things. I tried to explain. I tried to give context. But how do you summarize 28 years of neglect in a phone call? How do you make someone understand that this wasn't about the money, it was about the pattern? Some people listened. Most didn't. Then my father posted on Facebook a long public post about how heartbroken he was that his daughter had abandoned them in their time of need. How they'd given her everything, supported her dreams, loved her unconditionally. And now that they needed help, she'd turned her back on them. The comments rolled in. Shame on her. Kids these days have no respect. After all you've done for her? I watched my reputation crumble in real time. Friends I'd known for years started looking at me differently. People at work heard about it. My boss pulled me aside to ask if everything was okay at home. I felt like I was going insane. And then my mother called from my grandmother's phone. I answered because I thought something happened to my grandmother. You need to give us that money, Mom said. Her voice was different now. Cold. Calculated. No, I said. We're going to make your life hell until you do. You already are. You haven't seen anything yet, she said. We have records, receipts, proof of everything we spent on you growing up. And if you don't give us what we're owed, we're going to take legal action. I felt my blood run cold. Legal action? That's right. We're going to sue you for the money we invested in raising you. And if that doesn't work, we'll report you for theft. Theft? I didn't steal anything. You stole our time, our money, our lives. And you're going to pay. She hung up. I sat there, phone in hand, wondering if this was really happening. 3 days later, 2 police officers showed up at my door. I opened it, confused and terrified, and one of them asked, "Are you name?" "Yes," I whispered. "We need to ask you some questions about a theft report filed by your parents." My knees almost gave out. They came inside, sat on my couch, pulled out notebooks, and explained that my parents had filed a report claiming I had taken $2,500 from them and refused to return it. "I didn't take anything," I said, my voice shaking. "I don't know what they told you, but it's not true." The officer, a woman with kind eyes, looked at me carefully. "Can you explain your side?" I told them everything. The forgotten birthday, the sudden phone call, the request for money, the refusal, the harassment, the threats. I showed them my bank statements proving I hadn't received any money from them. I showed them the text messages, the emails, the social media posts. The officers looked at each other. "This is a civil matter," the male officer said finally. "Not a criminal one. Your parents can't file a theft report for money you never took." Relief flooded through me. "However," the female officer continued, "we recommend you document everything. Keep records. If this escalates further, you may need a restraining order." A restraining order? Against my own parents. They left, and I sat in my apartment, feeling like I'd been hollowed out. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "The police didn't believe us. But this isn't over. You'll pay for what you've done." I changed my number that night. It's been 8 months since I last spoke to my parents. 8 months of silence. 8 months of slowly rebuilding myself. 8 months of learning what it feels like to not wait for the other shoe to drop. The police visit was the breaking point. The moment I realized that there was no bottom to this well. They would keep going, keep escalating, keep finding new ways to punish me for the crime of setting a boundary. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I cut them off completely. New phone number. New email address. I blocked them on every social media platform. I told my extended family that I was done, and anyone who wanted to maintain a relationship with me needed to respect that decision and not pass along information or messages. Some of them understood. Some of them didn't. I lost a few cousins in the process. An aunt who called me selfish. An uncle who said I'd regret this someday. Maybe I will. But I doubt it. My therapist asked me once, "What do you think your parents wanted from you?" I thought about it for a long time. "They wanted a return on their investment," I said finally. "They didn't see me as a person. They saw me as something they'd put resources into, and now they wanted those resources back with interest." She nodded slowly. "And what do you want?" "I want to stop auditioning," I said. "I want to stop trying to earn love that should have been freely given. I want to stop setting myself on fire to keep them warm." That conversation changed something in me. I stopped feeling guilty. I stopped wondering if I'd made the right choice. I stopped checking my phone anxiously, waiting for the next attack. I started living. I got promoted at work. I took a vacation by myself to a place I'd always wanted to visit. I made new friends who didn't know my history, who just knew me as I am now. I started dating someone who thinks I'm enough, just as I am, without having to prove anything. Last week, my grandmother called. She's the only family member I stayed in contact with. "Your mother asked me to tell you something," she said carefully. "Grandma, I don't want to hear it." "I know, baby. But I promised I'd tell you. They want to apologize." I laughed bitterly. For what? Forgetting my birthday? Demanding money? Harassing me? Filing a false police report? They have a lot to apologize for. "They said they miss you." "They miss the idea of me," I corrected. "They miss having someone to blame, someone to control, someone to extract value from." Grandma was quiet for a moment. Then, "You're right. And I'm proud of you." Those words meant more to me than anything my parents ever said. I'm not going to pretend this has a happy ending. It doesn't. There's no reconciliation. No moment where they suddenly see the light and become the parents I needed. Real life doesn't work like that. But there is this. I'm free. Free from the constant disappointment. Free from the cycle of hope and heartbreak. Free from twisting myself into shapes to earn love that was never really on offer. Some people will say I'm heartless. That I abandoned my parents. That family is everything and I should have found a way to make it work. To those people, I say this. Family isn't a license for abuse. DNA doesn't give someone the right to manipulate you, exploit you, or destroy you. And sometimes, the most loving thing you can do for yourself is walk away from people who only know how to take. My parents didn't disappear on my birthday and then demand money because they were desperate. They did it because they fundamentally don't see me as a person worthy of basic respect. And I refuse to spend the rest of my life trying to convince them otherwise. I'm done auditioning. I'm done trying to be enough. Because I already am enough. And if they can't see that, that's their loss, not mine.